Big news broken last night. Conor McGregor has been removed from UFC 303. It was scheduled for June 29th out in Las Vegas, but Dana White, he's the UFC president, he said Conor McGregor is hurt and he's out. And I read a column last night, Bennett. It was a takedown of Conor McGregor. And you know what the columnist suggested? You'll never see Conor McGregor in the octagon again because he's gotten too rich and too famous and too comfortable, and he don't want it the way he used to want it. He's basically Rocky III. That's what the columnist suggested.
I mean, I don't think he's ever going to fight again in the UFC.
If he was never going to fight again in the UFC, why was he planning on fighting again in like 2 weeks?
Because he was facing an opponent that he looked like he could get a win against, but then
Michael Chandler?
Yeah, but then
he's a bum?
I don't know if he's a bum.
He's past his prime?
I don't know. I think that it was just a fight that was going to be kind of a layup for Conor. I mean, here's the thing is, like, these things, as someone who watches the UFC, like, these things end fast in that sport. Like, it's not, you rarely see like the guy that just fights forever and becomes like this legend and continues to fight deep in. Like, once the decline starts to happen, it happens quickly and then they're out of it, right? And I mean, just what's his goal? Like, is his goal to fight guys that he can beat and try to rack up? Because I think he's lost 4 or 5 of his last fights. He's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. And I mean, what's his goal? Like, do you want to get back to the top of the lightweight division? Because he's not going to do that. Like, he cannot beat those guys at the top of that division anymore. He has 0 shot of that. So I think that you're not going out on top because you're coming off a loss, but I think that he's probably realizing now that he's getting into, Hollywood and all this kind of stuff. He's doing movies. I think you kind of just let it go.
Some of the greatest fighters of all time. Do you know what they've explained? It's very much the story of Rocky Balboa in Rocky III. Like, in Rocky I, you just punching slabs of meat, running through the streets, and eating, eggs straight out the shell. Mm-hmm. That's Rocky I.
Yep.
Then you get a little money. You get a little fame. Gets a little harder to get up every morning to do these things. Great fighter, legendary fighter once said, it's hard to get up and run at 5 a.m. when you sleep in silk pajamas.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Conor McGregor, if you'll follow along here, he's been sleeping in silk pajamas.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. Like, the guy's been training his ass off to try to get back. He did suffer a couple bad injuries. Now it sounds like he's got another injury. It's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of like Floyd Mayweather. Like, once you kind of know that you're not going to be able to compete, because Floyd couldn't compete with the top boxers
but he never lost.
He never did lose.
Floyd's brilliance was knowing when to take fights. So it's like, let's take the Manny Pacquiao fight when Pacquiao's a little too old. Mm-hmm. Let's take the Canelo Alvarez fight when Canelo's a little too young. Like, he went and got Canelo. You could see Canelo was about to be the best fighter in the world, but it was maybe like 2 years away. Let's go get him right now because I don't want to mess with him when I'm 2 years older and he's 2 years older. So Floyd was brilliant about really knowing when to take a fight, when not to take a fight, but he never lost.
Yep.
He just walked away. But to your point, when he walked away? When he realized, if I keep doing this, I'm going to get caught. Because that's the story of particularly great defensive boxers like him. Roy Jones Jr. went through this. You're so quick and you're so gifted, but eventually with age, it slips. And you don't know it till you're looking up because you just got knocked out. Mm-hmm. Like, Roy Jones Jr. never fought in any sort of traditional way. Hands were always down. Like, because I used to cover boxing when I was at the Commercial Appeal. We had all these fights, and I don't think we had a main boxing guy, but I was involved in most of the fight coverage. Mm-hmm. So I got to know these people and be around these people. Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Glenn Johnson. Like, I did all this stuff. And one of the things they would tell you with Roy Jones is, like, you would never teach somebody to fight the way Roy Jones fights. Hands are always down. He's always exposing himself. He was so quick, though, and he could see everything so immediately that he could get away with it. And then what happened? He got a little bit older. Antonio Tarver popped him one time, and then everybody started hitting him. He went from can't be touched to, man, they touching you a lot. And when it's over, to your point, it's over
quickly.
It's over. Mike Tyson, it's over.
Yeah.
When it's over, you can keep going in there and you look the same. And we remember the great parts, but once the bell rings, it ain't the same anymore. Yep. And McGregor he's been there for years.
Yes. I think that I think the pride thing comes into it big time. Like, you can take these fights against guys that you can beat and sell a ton of pay-per-views if you're him. But he's just never, I don't think he's ever going to he'll never take a big fight against one of the top 5 ranked lightweights in the world. I don't think he'll ever do that again. You'll never see that.
How much does this impact pay-per-view buys?
For this one, yeah. I mean, they got Alex Pereira on the card. I think it's a title fight.
So I don't even know who that is.
It's a pivot. I mean, he's.
I'm this UFC, and really, fighting in general. I'm this type of fan. I would have bought the Conor McGregor fight just because,
it's him. Yeah,
it's him. I would have bought that. The rest of it, I don't. I'll ask you what happened.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who their next big star is, because you're clearly, if he's done, you're clearly losing.
Who is the biggest star in UFC right now? Who is it?
I mean, I think that
because there are times when it's it's Rampage, I know that, or it's Chuck Liddell, I know that, or it's Conor McGregor, I know that.
There's a lot of
who is that? Because I don't know who the star is right now.
I mean, there's a lot of up and comers. I'd say Leon Edwards, Alex Pereira.
I don't know any of these people.
Yeah, see, I mean, I think Usman's a guy.
How do you reach me? Conor McGregor reached me. Rampage reached me. Chuck Liddell reached me. How does nobody out there right now is reaching me?
Israel Adesanya is a star.
I know that name.
Yeah, but no, I don't. There's no one on his level yet that is. There's no one even close to that yet. It's gonna take someone stringing off a bunch of wins. The other thing too, I think for American viewers and things like that, the guy at the top of the lightweight, Makhachev, he's one of those Khabib type Eastern European fighters that just doesn't have a personality.
Well, even Ronda Rousey broke through.
It's hard to latch onto him.
Me. Yeah, but there's nobody, as far as I know, there is nobody working right now who has been able to break through in a way that it reaches me.
No, not they don't have that right now.
Got to get that.
Yeah, they don't. It's just going to require somebody stringing off a bunch of wins.
Boxing doesn't really have that right now either.
Yeah, because Dustin Poirier, the guy who beat McGregor a couple times, he just lost in the last. So
maybe Terrence Crawford is that, but boxing doesn't have in the fight game. You have these moments where it's Mike Tyson or Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather or Roy Jones. You have these moments where Oscar De La Hoya. Where you have these big things, Andre Ward. And right now in boxing, I guess it's maybe Terrence Crawford, but there's not a lot of it there.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of it in UFC either.
I will say Sean O'Malley, Sugar Sean.
I know him.
Yeah, because he's got the hair. He's wild, all the tattoos. He's a champ right now. He actually is probably their most marketable star right now. The problem is he's a bantamweight, and that division just isn't as popular. So, but I would say that he's probably the guy right now.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.